So, good evening everyone. So, before we start, meron ako inandang video clip. Sana panoorin nyo at naiintindihan nyo. So, let's start.
Our brain's response to the word radioactivity usually takes us into the realm of superheroes or into some dark, reimagined, post-apocalyptic world after a nuclear fallout. There is rarely a middle ground. However, 120 years ago, the world had a completely different perception of radioactivity. In fact, it was considered to be a miraculous reservoir of health and vitality. From toothpaste and watch dials to water and butter, radioactivity was everywhere. So, what happened? How is this marvelous discovery, which was considered one of humankind's greatest achievements, turned into something that scares countless people across the globe? Well, let's start with the basics. Everything we see around us is composed of elements with stable atoms. The subatomic component responsible for maintaining the stability of an atom is called the nucleus. Now, imagine that you're about to sneeze, but it hasn't quite come out yet. How does that feel? It might be strange to describe, but that's exactly what certain atoms experience all the time, the urge to expel the excess and regain stability. Inside an atom's nucleus, there are positively charged protons and neutral neutrons. These nucleons are held together by a glue called the strong nuclear force. This strong force cancels out the repulsive electrostatic force of like-charged protons and keeps the nucleus stable. The nuclear force has a short range of action and is dependent on the ratio of neutrons and protons present in a nucleus. However, we see that the balance between the forces starts to waver in a nucleus where the number of neutrons exceeds the number of protons. A nucleus that exceeds the threshold number of neutrons and protons that the strong nuclear force can hold together comfortably will become more unstable. More specifically, these scenarios give rise to unstable isotopes of elements. Just as your body, through a series of expansions and contractions, expels a substance with a sneeze, similarly, the unstable isotopes of elements fling out different particles or forms of energy to restore balance between the forces in their nucleus. During this process of attaining stability, they change into a new nucleus. It is exactly this property, namely turning into something new to attain stability, that we call radioactivity. The process by which it transforms is called radioactive decay. A nucleus can undergo nuclear or radioactive decay through the emission of alpha, beta, or gamma radiation, and sometimes a combination of all three. The alpha particles are relatively heavy. They can travel only a few centimeters in the air and can be easily stopped by a sheet of paper or plastic. Beta particles have higher energy and more penetrating power.
Okay, no? Tingnan natin muna. Then,